waiting for me, so this is good.
I should pour myself one too.
Hey, what's going on? It's another version of the A Game. I'm Rob Akampora, bunkered down in my apartment on the Jersey Shore. The man to my right is a man I've known for way too many years. Very happy to have known him, and he's done so many great things for my old radio station, FM 106.3 WHDG. Jimmy, are you at a bar right now? I'm looking in the background. What's going on there?
Yeah, apparently it's open. It's in my house. I have a bar in my house. I mean,
beautiful.
People expect that from me. So,
well, this is true. This is true. Anytime I've seen you after a show, a drink and a cigar are usually involved.
I don't know how I get that reputation. I really don't.
The man from the Smithereens, the longtime guitar player, founding member, Jim Babjak. Jimmy, thanks for bringing your A game. Thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
Listen, it's been a crazy ride for you the last few years. I mean, I got to really just start from about 4 years to now. You've had so many ups and downs going on even before the pandemic hit. I mean, the band loses Pat. You lost your beloved bed. And I got to figure that at some point you got to be sitting there and going, what? What am I supposed to do? You know, you deal with one tragedy, now you're dealing with two. I mean, what's going through your mind at that point? I mean, are you thinking to yourself, like, why you start cursing God? What?
No, well, I have good friends, good support system. I have 3 boys, and they're all, in their 30s and late 20s. And I have a girlfriend, and I'm just looking ahead to the future. You can't look back and wallow in whatever happens. I mean, a lot of bad things happen to a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, just real short story. My parents lived in Hungary, the country of Hungary, and there was an uprising in 1956 with the Russians, and they left. They left the communist country to come here. So, they left their parents to come here to make a better life for us, me and my brother, and so I didn't have to go through that. But I mean, what I'm saying is, there's trouble everywhere, and you got to keep moving, otherwise you're gonna end up being make yourself sick, and I still have a lot of music in me, and the band does too.
Right.
So, and it brings a lot of joy to people, and it brings a lot of joy to us. So there's no reason to stop. You just kind of move forward. You don't forget the past. You just all I can say is you just move forward.
It's a healthy attitude. I think it's the not that I'm judging here. It's the total right attitude to kind of say, hey, I've lived here. I'm here now. Let me be present in the now, and let's have some good things happen.
Yeah, I definitely live in the now.
Yeah. I you know what, Jim? And I think that's sort of the good news of it, because it's like you get through that, you live in the now, and a lot of good things started to happen. And in a weird way, this one concert you guys did was the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank. You actually had booked a show that the Smithereens were going to play, and it turns into this tribute to Pat. Beautifully done, by the way. And
thank you.
In a weird way, it was like you're saying goodbye, but you're also turning a page. In the same night, it was like beautifully moving, but you also start to see these guys can still do this. They still want to do this, and there's still a passion for it.
You have to have the passion, otherwise there's no reason to do it.
Right.
And all the singers that came to that Count Basie show, because that show was booked before Pat died.
Right.
And then we, of course, we turned it into a benefit. And but everybody that sang with us, B.P. Buell, and all these people, Ted Leo, and then Marshall Crenshaw was a longtime friend of ours. He played keyboards on our first album, especially for you, on a song, and he played 6-string bass on White Castle Blues, of all things, from 1996.
Yeah, wow, absolutely.
So, and and then there's Robin Wilson, who we knew. Well, he apparently we're an influence for the Gin Blossoms too. You know, they used to come see us in Arizona.
I just read an article that came out, I think, about a year ago, and it was Robin Wilson was just gushing about the Smithereens, and it was almost like getting him involved was like, oh, you don't even have to twist my arm. I want to do it. Name the time, name the place. He was in all the way.
Yeah, I mean, he told us that night too at the Count Basie. And you know, it is a weird thought that I had. I thought if Kurt Cobain was alive, he'd probably be singing with us too.
That's true. A lot of people forget that he openly has said the Smithereens were a big influence on what Nirvana was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
so. I mean, yeah.
Go
sorry.
ahead.
There's a
no,
delay.
go ahead, please. No, that's okay.
I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
I was about to say it's high praise for the band. It's incredible. It's because it's that the band has always had such a loyal following, and it seems like other bands always loved you guys.
Well,
and you're discovering more now than ever.
Yes, yes. I never looked at it as a competition, you know, but
right
with other Jersey bands at the time when we were coming up. Yeah.
Well, as you were coming up, and Christian, in your file, it's the last photo, so please put up especially for you, because this was the beginning for these guys. I still have posted this many times on Facebook. From top to bottom, one of the best albums that's ever been released. It's one of those, you could start at the beginning, go to the end at Alone at Midnight, and everything in between. You don't want to skip a track. You're going on this journey with you guys, and it takes so many different twists and turns. I think that's the beauty of especially for you.
Yeah, that, and there was no record company to tell us that this song isn't going to test well, or you shouldn't do a bossa nova beat and then a surf beat and this and that.
Right.
It was what we were writing at the time, and there was no interference, so it was a labor of love, and I think people can hear it comes through on the record, and I think it's stood the test of time. I listened to it the other day, and I'm like, I can't believe that was me on there.
But you hit on a really good point about no interference. Yeah. Because I get the feeling as the years went on, there was this feeling of, okay, now we've gone from where we were at Enigma, now we're going to Capitol, we've gone to RCA. Maybe there was a little more hands-on, let's say, as the career went on.
There sure was. I mean, after A Girl Like You was a hit, they wanted another Girl Like You. So we ended up with Top of the Pops, you know, and then and radio and MTV, they only wanted certain songs from us. And then the record company insisted that we use a click track on the drums, and I thought, that's not good, you know, because the song loses its natural flow. I mean, if you listen to some of my old favorite records, like, for instance, Honky Tonk Woman, or what's that Neil Young song, Cinnamon Girl?
Cinnamon Girl, good choice, yeah.
Play that and then put it back to the beginning, and you'll see that it was a little slower before, and that by the end of the song, it sped up. It just had a natural flow to it. But you kind of lose that with a click track because everything's perfect, you know?
I think it segues into what I wanted to talk about with one song here. By the way, it's Jimmy Babjak from the Smithereens here on the A Game. Too Much Passion was actually your biggest top 40 hit. And I get I may be treading on some sensitive area here, because I've always been like, in my head, you guys rarely have done it live. It was orchestrated differently. And it's a great song, but I get the feeling just from what you're telling me, this feels like this was maybe the label kind of going, ooh, no, we need something that's, pop friendly. Am I wrong in that assumption?
Yeah, no, actually, Pat was trying to write a Motown kind of song, and we were trying to get Smokey Robinson to sing on it with.
Ooh, that would have been great.
But it just didn't work out, and it came out the way it came out, and even though it was a top 40 hit, it didn't really sell records. It was just a top 40 hit, and we did do it live when we did it on the Jay Leno show, and then. And towards the end of Pat's life, we were doing it live. And a lot of people like it. And the thing I'm finding out about our band now is that people have their favorite albums. They're saying Blow Up was their favorite. And I didn't think it was our best at the time. But people have their favorites from each album. And that tells me a lot, actually.
Yeah.
looking back.
Oh yeah, it's got to be a great feeling where it's like, okay, we're not going to be remembered by our fans by just one album. It's like, and you got such a great body of work that it's like, okay, people can love the 11 album. People are going to love the Especially For You album, the Green Thoughts album, whatever the case may be. And you're going to get 20 different fans and probably get 20 different answers, which has got to be a great feeling.
It is, because, it can't just be Blood and Roses, Girl Like You, or whatever the other ones are, Behind the Wall Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
A song like House We Used to Live In, it didn't test well, and Capitol was going to put it out as a single, and we did a video for it for MTV, and then they just pulled it off the market. So fast forward to all these years, it's one of the showstoppers live. People just love it.
Right.
And it goes to show, well, on a different level. Look at, Maybe I'm Amazed at Paul McCartney, right? It was never a single. It wasn't a hit. But it's become so big that, people think that it was a single hit.
Yes. Yeah, so, it's very true, yeah.
I'm finding that from a lot of our songs when we play it live, that people thought it was a hit back in the day because they've grown to like it through the years.
And it's a great song because everybody can appeal to that song. This is the house we used to live in. One look before we tear it down. We've all been there at some point in our lives where it's like, oh my God, in one song, here's our life in this one home. And as we're leaving it, it's like heartbreak. But you feel it in that song. And I think it just gravitates to anybody who's been through that.
Yeah, yeah.
Another song I'm going to bring up, because this is one that you actually wrote from the 11 album, Cut Flowers. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's such a sweet, it's sweet and it's sad, which kind of sums up the Smithereens at times. So sweet, and it can be so sad at the same time. But you take that one part of the song where it says, Cut Flowers meant more to her on ordinary days. I think any woman feels that way. When you give her flowers on, just because it was Tuesday, it's a great feeling. And it sums it up in that sentence so beautifully.
Just to put on the table.
Yeah.
Not really a guy thing, I suppose, but it does brighten things up. But yeah, that was a nice collaboration. I remember thinking at the time that this is really beautiful, and I knew it would never get played on the radio. I knew it, but
it's a shame. I mean, here we are. Here we are, which we can fast.
And Marshall Crenshaw and Robin Wilson, they both sing it very well. And Richard Barone sang it at the Count Basie, and he did a great job with that song too.
It's funny. I can picture Richard if he wanted to. I mean, I think you've got a good rapport right now with Robin Wilson and Marshall Crenshaw. But if Richard had offered, I think you guys would have probably jumped at it, because I think Barone's style would have fit you guys pretty well too.
Oh yeah, there's a lot out there, and it really depends on people's schedules and what's going on, and because right now I'm writing songs with Robin and Marshall and Susan Cowsill, for that matter.
Oh, okay.
I sent her a song,
nice,
and that I think her voice would be perfect on. So I mean, who knows what the future is? We're just going to keep rolling until as long as everybody loves or likes what we're doing and we love what we're doing, we're going to keep going.
Well, let's talk about what's happened recently. You guys did your first quarantine concert. That happened earlier this month. Christian, there is a live shot with him and Robin Wilson. It's somewhere in the middle of the pack, and there it is. You guys look like you're having a blast there, by the way. Where did you do this quarantine concert, by the way?
Robin also lives in Long Island, and he lives in Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I've been over to his house before to work on some new songs. And it was his idea just to put on a little concert in front of his house. So I drove up there, and then Dennis, I didn't know he was going to show up until that day. Dennis showed
Oh, really?
up.
Wow.
And then Graham Maybe, the bassist from Joe Jackson, is a good friend of ours. He lives like 15 minutes away from Robin. And, when we found out, we said, well, he actually wanted to come.
That's great.
He shows up with his bass, and it was a good time. It was a real good time.
It's got to be weird during this pandemic to do something like this, because here you are. You've got Christian. There's a behind the scenes photo of just some of the technological stuff where they're getting like a bunch of shots here. So how weird is it, kind of like you're performing to a camera, but you probably have done that before in shooting a video and stuff. But is there that feeling of, God, I wish there were an audience in front of us? Or you just kind of sitting there kind of saying, well, we know they're going to come to it if we put it out there?
There actually was an audience. There was about 20
Oh,
people
that's cool.
across the street. His neighbors and just people that knew about it, sitting on lawn chairs. And they brought their own alcohol and stuff. So
come on, it's got to be a party somehow in this time. That's great.
yeah, but everybody kept far apart. And
right.
There was a fan of Robin's, of the Gin Blossoms, that drove all the way from Ohio because this couple knew about that Robin was going to do this.
Right.
And they brought this big bottle of Maker's Mark.
Oh, I love these people already. It's my favorite.
Right. So at
yes.
that point, I told my girlfriend Cindy, I said, "You're driving."
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
So a good time and a good time. I like this.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hey, by the way, that's up on YouTube. So, and if you follow Smithereens on Facebook, you can see it on their Facebook page as well. It's a really good concert. It's a lot of great Smithereens material. You got to sing, which I thought was great. And
well, thank you.
You are tough on yourself. You can sing. It's just, you're a little shy, Jim, when it comes to singing. Guitar playing, no. Guitar playing, absolutely not. You're not afraid to kind of, as a matter of fact, hey, Christian, there's one of him just on guitar, black and white. Put it up there, because to me, this is Jimmy at his best. He's doing his thing. When it comes to the guitar, he's not afraid. He's not shy. Singing may be another story, but
it's the adrenaline,
Yeah.
And those windmills that Pete Townsend does, I started doing them when I was 13, and they're so much fun to do. I can't stop. Like sometimes towards the end of the show, I'll just do them. It's not to imitate them, and I always felt weird about it. But then after a while, I'm like, this is so much fun. I'm just going to keep doing it. As long as my shoulder stays intact. There
you go. As we're all getting a little older, the little aches and pains pop up. That's where a little more whiskey does help.
Well, there is that.
Yes.
It's like medicine.
Yes. Hey, look, we're doing it strictly for medicinal purposes.
Right.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Jim Babjak of the Smithereens is here on the A Game. So, obviously, when the quarantine kind of lifts, you guys are going to try to go back on the road and get touring again?
Absolutely. And we have a Lost album. Well, we were calling it the Lost album. We recorded demos enough for 2 albums back in 1993 when we lost our deal with Capitol at the time. And before we signed with RCA, we decided to go into the studio and just record and put out an album ourselves. Well, one half of it became, we re-recorded it. We re-recorded the other half, and it became Date with the Smithereens. But the other half we still have. So we're going to release that. And at the same time, we're working on new material, and that'll come after.
Great.
And we just released a single of, I don't know if you have heard the Love Me Do, P.S. I Love You Beatles single that we did?
Christian, could you put up the photo on that? I have that, as a matter of fact. It's the one where the Smithereens, it's a 45 cover. It's in your collection there. I give it to you. There it is.
Whoa, that's me with hair. Look at that.
Yes. I was hoping you're going to bring it up because I'm like going, I got this ready. But again, that also goes to what you guys have always had, this great, like I say, heartfelt feeling about the Beatles, because you guys have recorded so many Beatles songs over your time. I think it's been something. It's a loving tribute, is the best way of putting it. What you guys do.
Oh, absolutely. And the Beatles, they recorded cover songs too.
Right.
Or Larry Williams and Chuck Berry, and all those great songs. And at first, I was apprehensive about it, but again, it's fun to do.
Right, and that seems to be the underlying theme. Yeah.
And we could only do it in our style. We're not Beatlemania. We don't want to sound like the Beatles. We sound like us doing the Beatles.
Beatles.
Very simple.
very simple. It works. That's the great thing about it. So look for that. And speaking of covers, during the pandemic, I actually saw a band actually covered one of your songs. What? Tell Me When the Things Go So Wrong. I really didn't know much about Echo in the Canyon, but they really nailed it. I mean, did you get to see that on YouTube by any chance?
It's scary. It's like they don't need me. They're just the guitar player did my parts very well.
Yeah. It's one of those, if you can find it on YouTube, not that you see a lot of Smithereens covers, this one's really good. I got to give them props for it. Yeah, definitely a fan.
I had heard that Smash Mouth recorded that particular song years ago, but it was never released.
Wow. That would have been interesting to hear their take on it, for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it too. That just popped into my head because of the song, because I remember Pat telling me about it a couple of years ago.
Talk to me about one cover you did, and it's still one of those holiday traditions across the country. Your version of Rudolph still gets played a lot. When you look back on that, did you ever think it was going to take off as much as it did?
No.
That's great. Of course.
It was actually a test. Butch Vig, the producer of Nevermind by Nirvana, was going to produce our next album for Capitol before we got dropped. And so Butch Vig produced that one. Wow. And that's when he told me that Kurt Cobain loved my guitar playing and loved the band. And he said during Nevermind they were A-Bing the guitar sounds from our album to their album, trying to get that.
Wow.
That sound, which is really a cool thing. That's the first time I heard about that from the producer. Right. But anyway, a funny thing about that song, Rudolph, was I was getting an operation. I was in the hospital and I was going under. And as I was going under, over the intercom, I heard Rudolph, right? Right. And I said to the nurse, I said, in a daze, I said, that's me. And she didn't know what I was talking about. She thought I was nuts. And that's the last thing I heard before I went under.
That's classic. I'm sorry. That's classic.
Yeah. I mean, I'll hear our stuff in the supermarket sometimes, and it's kind of cool. I'm walking around and looking around to see if anybody recognizes me.
Exactly. It's like going, yeah, bread, eggs, and a girl like you. Wow. All right. Jim Babjak of the Smithereens here on the A Game. All right, my turn to get my shot out. Random shot segment. These are questions that definitely tied to your life in some way, shape, or form. So cheers to you, by the way, for coming on tonight.
Oh, you really are doing a shot.
I had to. I had to have one ready. Come on. Out of respect for you, please. Yeah, there you go. Now you're talking. There you go.
All right. I'm going to have a little Anisetta.
All right. I'm an Italian. I know what Anisetta is. I had this handy. I had the Jameson's Black Barrel handy, so that's why I went with that tonight. I knew you'd approve of that one. I had a feeling you'd approve of that. All right. So, in the random shot segment, here we go. Now, your dad owned a bar in Carteret years ago. So, since you are sitting at a bar, let's go back in time. What is the first drink you ever made? Made. Oh, I figure you're hanging around the bar. You had to mix something.
Oh, I did. There was they used to have these conventions in the 70s, the liquor distributors, and trying to think of where it was up in North Jersey. And anyway, they would introduce all the new liqueurs and wines and beer that are coming out that year. And that particular year, in the late 70s, it was a melon liqueur called Midori from.
Oh, I remember this. Yes,
from Japan. So as soon as I got it home, I had a sample, or to the bar, I mixed it with rum, pineapple juice, grenadine, and at the time I added a little Southern Comfort, but I tried it recently and it doesn't work with Southern. And
it's amazing what happens as you get older. My taste buds say no.
And being a dumb bartender, I was shaking it instead of stirring it, so it had all this foam on top. So I called it the orgasm. So for a couple of months at my dad's bar, people were ordering orgasms.
Orgasms, perfect.
And then years later, I find out that somebody did invent the drink called the orgasm. I don't know what's in it. It's probably not the same as mine. But I wouldn't even know how to trademark something like that, and who cares anyway?
With that in mind, I'll go to the next one. All right. the author of the White Castle Blues, it has to be asked, the most amount of sliders you've ever had in one sitting from White Castle?
10.
That's not bad. It's about
10
all I can handle.
And a fish fillet, or what do they call it? A whaler.
The whaler.
Yeah, just to top it off. I had to have something to change the palate a little bit.
Yeah, this is true. This is very important to keep the palate entertained, for sure. Bigger honor, being inducted into New Jersey Hall of Fame or being inducted into the White Castle Hall of Fame?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
No, there's. I don't know if I could answer that one.
Fair enough. You complete the fifth on that one. All right. Better movie, Dangerously Close or Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle?
Oh, man.
I'm tugging on both your heartstrings on this. You know that.
Yeah. I would have to go with Dangerously Close because that launched our career because Blood and Roses was in the movie.
Exactly.
And so I had to go with that one.
But I knew you were going to at least ponder that one, like going, he would throw the White Castle curve at me on that one.
Yeah. What are you trying to do to me?
Oh, it gets worse. Trust me. And this one I expect you to plead the fifth on. Better guest singer, Suzanne Vega or Belinda Carlisle?
Two different styles. By
True.
the way, I just saw the Go-Go's.
I did too, by the way. What did you think of that? Yeah, what did you think? Because I thought it was fascinating.
I liked it a lot. I mean, I don't need to hear about all the real dirt or what they, there are bad things that happen in all kinds of bands, but it was a good story.
Right.
They did gloss over the last 25 years. They skipped from I don't know, 1984 to like whenever. And Kathy Valentine's actually a good friend of mine.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, and when she had the group The Delphines, when I was watching it, I remember the name. Oh yeah, The Delphines. And they opened up for us in L.A. back in the 90s sometime. And then I played in this other group. It was like a corporate only group. We did corporate events.
Right.
And Gilby Clark was in there, and Pat and myself and Clem Burke on drums. Kathy Valentine was on guitar also. And so it was all in Chips Enough from Enough's Enough.
Yeah.
So we played together. We did these corporate events and we did cover songs.
It sounds like a fun group of people that you're talking about all coming together. It
was. Jeff Skunk Baxter was in it too.
Shit.
It was I'm forgetting some people, but it was a whole big lineup of people that were just, having fun.
Right. Somebody find a video of this, please.
I don't think one exists.
That's a shame.
I've never seen one.
Hey, Christian, meet the Smithereens photo with the bobblehead dolls. Can I have that up, please? Yes. By the way, I love this cover. And it's just. But here's my first question: was there ever a bobblehead that you got with this? Do you still have it?
No.
If it even exists? No.
I wish I did. I'd sell it on eBay now.
Oh, you kidding me? You'd make a lot of money off of that. But your passion for the Beatles, and I know this is asking the ridiculous question, because to pinpoint one Beatles song, I'm not asking for your favorite, but do you remember the first Beatles song you ever heard?
I think it might have been Please Please Me, because I was 7 at the time, and I remember the harmonica. I was attracted to the sound of the harmonica.
Ah. Interesting.
As a 7-year-old, and
you don't see many 7-year-olds being hypnotized by a harmonica.
Well, it just intrigued me. It was something I'd never heard before, and obviously I was too young then to play guitar.
That's true.
My dad made me take accordion lessons, and this at that age, and then I played violin later in 4th grade and 5th grade. But funny, Mike Mazaris, our bass player, had the same accordion teacher at the same time.
Oh, my God.
We knew each other from church because we both had our communions together in 1964. And we had the same accordion teacher. Wow. And it wasn't until high school that after and he was good friends with Dennis.
Right.
He was on the drums, I was on the guitar. So Mike's like, hey, you mind if I play bass?
Wow. And then it all comes together.
Yeah, he didn't know how to play bass, but I showed him how to play Can't Explain by The Who, and I think No Matter What, and an Animal song, and an Elvis song. And then he went away to college for a semester, and when he came back, he was playing like a world-class pro.
Fantastic.
I think he dropped out of school because I think that's all he did was play bass.
Well, that would do it. Yeah, absolutely.
And he played like like the Ramones and like James Jamerson and Paul McCartney and John Entwistle all rolled up into one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christian, there is a great photo of Mike, Dennis, and Jim. It's a 3-shot there. You probably get, yeah. So there you go. Dennis Deacon, my guest Jimmy Babjak, and Mike Massaro's there. I mean, great photo, by the way. And is Mike going to potentially do some dates with you guys? Is that the plan? I know he's been in and out, but he's been doing a little bit more with you guys. I know that.
Oh no, he's back in. He's already working on parts for the new record.
Fantastic.
But he lives all the way in California, so we have to do these things over the phone. You know, I'll send him demos over the phone.
Right. And did you ever think in a million years that here you are, how many years later, and it'd be like, okay, you can stay in LA, you can record your part, and then we'll do our part here, and we'll all get it together, you know?
Well, just for the writing part, but when we actually record, we'll all be together.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. That's good stuff.
I mean, after all this is together, because there's nothing like playing live in the studio. You know, like we were talking about the first album, that was pretty much cut live. And Pat did his vocals later, but the music was live.
Wow.
And
yeah, you don't get. Oh yeah, and you don't hear a lot of bands doing that anymore. That's my point. It's become a different process, but it sounds like you're more comfortable just kind of going and doing it that way. That's your comfort zone. That's your process.
Yeah, I have to be standing next to Dennis, our drummer, and I have to play with the drums.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of Dennis, if I can really give him a real quick plug, he's been a part of radio station WFMU for on and off for many, many years. Denny's Den is going to be popping up again. If you want to follow that, it's rockandsoulradio.com to find out more about that. Like I said, Dennis is a total, every time I've talked with him, total music geek. Just like you guys know just about everything about anything musically. And it's always a great conversation. I mean, the 2 times I've interviewed both of you were there, and it turns into conversations about everything musically.
Well, it's our lives, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But again, it's just nice to hear the passion to come out, not only about your band, but about every other thing that's been coming out. Like, hey, by the way, did you hear this? I'm like, oh no, tell me about it. You know, that kind of stuff. You guys love it.
We're fans too. You know.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It really is.
And you know, for me to be playing with Dennis, a kid that I've been playing with since we were 13. I'm going to be 63 in November. So when I'm up on stage or we're recording, I just puts me back to being a teenager. And that's, there's nothing like it. I mean, you know, you can imagine, it's just so much fun.
I can only imagine. I mean, being in radio, the great thrill has been playing music and being able to talk about it and have that experience, because I just never had the chops to really be a musician. So I kind of lived vicariously through the job, and having moments like this and being able to talk to some people that I've gotten to know over the decades, and for you to agree to come on and just basically, hey, what's up? Let's talk. This is my thrill. This is my art, so to speak. And I love it. Oh, by the way, next time you may want to see Jim, I marked this down. If you're in Jersey, August 26th, he will be up in Bayonne for Summer Sounds by the Bay, Music in the Park, with Bobby Bandiera. That should be a pretty good thing. And there'll be some social distancing, but it should be a good time.
Yes. Bobby and I have become good friends, and he's a great guy. He's a good musician, and I'm not sure what we're going to play yet, but we'll have to work on a set list. But, you know, we're doing it because it'll be safe, you know, for us and the audience. And we can't play as the Smithereens, obviously, because Mike can't fly. And so we're all local. And my son, Tom, is going to play drums.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and Ron Haney, a bass player from New Jersey. He's
I
on the
know
circuit
Ron.
too. Oh, good.
Ron, I've known Ron since his days of the Churchills when they were on Universal back. And a matter of fact, back at my old station, you guys and the Churchills did a show on one of our Christmas shows. So thank you for that. I mean, looking back on it, I'm thinking about this. 2 beach concerts, 3 Christmas concerts. You guys were always so supportive of FM 106.3. So for that, I say thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. No, Ron Haney's good people. He's, so I'm glad to hear that he's going to be a part of it too. Look for more information coming up on Facebook on that. Hey, Jimmy, thank you so much for doing this. I look forward to more Smithereens stuff. Hopefully, maybe you'll do another quarantine show at some point too.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? What else we got to do right now? We'll sit here and drink good booze and watch good music. That's what I want to see.
All right.
My friend, thank you again. That wraps up this version of the A Game. We'll be back again next week. For Jimmy Babjak, I'm Rob Akampora. Thanks for tuning in.